When I saw your name, I was really surprised too. I never thought I'd end up investigating someone I just met at a matchmaking meeting. I was surprised too. I felt like I was saved by Mika-san, who listened to me sincerely on the day of the matchmaking meeting, but I never thought she'd help me again here. On the other hand, you'll be on home quarantine for a while. In some cases, you may even be punished. You understand, right? My name is Shimoguri Ryosuke. I'm 32 years old. I work as a salesperson at Nakanoe Busen. To tell you the truth, my family is the founder of a well-known company in the community. My father is the chairman, and my older brother took over as president, now in his 40s. But I rebelled against the family's finances and chose a completely different path. I started job hunting when I was in my third year of university. My parents tried to force me to follow in my brother's footsteps. Why don't you follow your brother's example and work for us? You don't have to go through all the trouble. Just stay with us and you'll be safe. My father and mother tried to persuade me, saying things like, "Are you telling me to become a copy of my older brother?" I didn't want that. I'm going to do it myself. With that, I ran away from home. My academic performance wasn't great to begin with. I somehow managed to get into university through the AU entrance exam, but I often skipped lectures and barely got the credits I needed. Even when I started job hunting, none of them had any experiences that I could talk about in interviews. If I had done what my parents said, I could have joined Gyakugeki or one of its affiliated companies, but that was the one thing I didn't want to do. I didn't want to follow the path my parents had laid out for me. That kind of life would be bleak as hell. That's what I thought. I'm sure that to others, I would have looked like a foolish, naive, unrealistic idealist, but that was the only choice I had. I wrote that there was no meaning in life unless I could stand on my own 2 feet. But job hunting under those circumstances was still quite a tough road. I worked part-time jobs to make ends meet, went to the public employment office, and was rejected at an interview by a seemingly black company, and had a terrible experience. That's an interesting career. I appreciate that you don't take advantage of your famous parents, but honestly, what can you do? I can't count the number of times I've been told that. But I want to stand on my own 2 feet. That's the one thing I won't give up, no matter what. When I told a successful recruiter that, he said to me with some anguish, "You're a bit strange. But you seem to have guts. Come to my company." Quote. With those words, I decided to leave the company I work for now. The pay was low and the work was hard, but I worked like crazy. For the first 3 years, my numbers didn't improve at all. I made mistakes over and over again, but I didn't get yelled at or run away. Around the 7th year, I finally started to get my own customers and started to get a little recognition at work. Quote. "Saka, you've been doing well lately. If you improve your sales results a bit more, you might be able to get your husband to do some business." I was getting carried away when he said that. But that was just last month. What's going on? I stood there in the office conference room, stunned. In front of me sat the head of the HR department, the general affairs department, my immediate supervisor, and sales manager Ishii, all with their arms crossed. Sake, tell me the truth. Who tampered with that estimate data? I told you before that it wasn't me.
But your log is still in the final submission file. You were using a USB, right?
Of course, but the data I overwrote was before the amount was changed. When did it get tampered with? Judging
from the access history of the external system, the tampering took place just after 9 p.m. on Monday. That's exactly when you had the file open.
No, I just opened it. I didn't change the contents. That was the deadline for submission, so I had proof just by checking it. I'm sorry, but I can't explain anything further. Ishii said in a deep voice, Sake, you're being forced to stay home for a while. In some cases, you could be subject to a long-term punishment. You understand, right? A long-term punishment means you'll be fired, right? I had no choice but to take a deep breath and then say the words with a hushed voice. Okay. Leaving the office, the rain that had been falling since morning showed no sign of stopping even after noon, and the cold raindrops blowing with the strong wind soaked my tie. I muttered to myself as I walked to the station, head down. I guess I should brace myself for the pain in my neck. What did I want to do? This is how it ends up. This is my life. Such monologues were drowned out by Amane. After returning home, I took off my suit and lay down in the living room, staring at the ceiling. There were notifications from the company on my smartphone. No outside contact is allowed while I'm on home quarantine. I'm being treated like a criminal. What on earth were those 10 years all about? My wet hair ran down my neck, and a chill seeped down my spine. Even after taking a bath and drinking, I couldn't get the expressionless face of the department manager and the cold eyes of the section manager out of my head at that moment. I sank into the sofa without turning on the lights in the room. At that moment, my smartphone vibrated again. It was a call from my mother. Yes. Raizuki, are you okay now? Oh, well, I'm fine. I have something important to tell you. You see, my mother's voice was strangely cheerful. But there was something theatrical about it, and I had a bad feeling about it. I talked to my father and arranged a matchmaking meeting on his behalf. It's open next Sunday afternoon, right? A matchmaking meeting. You know, they say it's become popular these days for parents to take the lead in the discussions. Is it called a matchmaking event for parents? I saw it on the internet. Your partner too. I did some research and he seems like a good person, so don't worry. Hey, wait a minute. I'm not in that kind of situation right now. It's hard to suddenly ask for a matchmaking meeting. Besides, what do you mean, matchmaking for parents? I stood there, stunned, clutching my smartphone. Now that I think about it, I've seen it on the news. For children who are too busy with work to think about romance, parents are the ones who register profiles, make the initial contact after introductions, and even set up matchmaking sessions where the children meet face to face. Apparently, there are even events where parents act as proxy matchmaking parties. Well, both of my parents are old-fashioned people. They genuinely believe that you're only a full-fledged adult when you get married. I guess they're ashamed that I'm 32 and still single. I can understand how they feel, but there are plenty of single men at 32 these days, and most of them are on the verge of losing their jobs and can't see a future. They don't have the time to think about something as important as marriage right now. And yet, my mother continued in a cheerful voice, without any remorse. It's normal for parents to take action these days. It's because she's worried. Anyway, there's no reason for you to turn him down next weekend. You never know what's going to happen in life. Please help me. Just try the matchmaking session. You can decide whether to turn him down or not later. Hey, change. I could hear my father's low voice on the other end of the phone. I'm really proud of you for working so hard on your own. I've also told the person I'm meeting that you're doing a great job without putting in any effort. Their parents are also very good at kanji. No, that doesn't mean you should just decide something so important on your own. There's no way I can talk to someone about the future right now. But in the end, my opinion wasn't accepted and the phone call ended as if I was being pushed through. I sank into the sofa for a while, staring blankly up at the ceiling. My mind should have been filled with the sword around my neck. Before I knew it, the word arranged marriage was swirling around in my head. I was about to lose my appetite and my confidence and pride were in tatters. Meeting a stranger with the intention of getting married at a time like this would have been the only option, but my father's voice suddenly stuck in my ears. I'm really proud of you for working so hard on your own. It might be the first time anyone has said something like that to me. It felt like he was affirming the path I've chosen, and it moved me a little. Besides, nothing would change if I stayed home anyway. Well, if you think it's impossible to meet her face to face, then you can just go home. I muttered this with some hesitation and finally got up with a heavy heart. Reluctantly, but maybe something will change for the better. I had such hopes in my heart. The lobby of the designated hotel on Sunday afternoon was quiet and had an elegant atmosphere. I put on my suit and opened the door to the private room, suppressing my nervousness. The other party's parents and the woman were already in the room. The woman, who had a calm demeanor similar to my mother's smile, looked at me and gently teased me. Quote, "I'm Go-To Mika. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule today." At that moment, I was speechless. She was incredibly beautiful. That was my first impression. She had a pure and calm atmosphere. Her eyes were transparent yet gave off a sense of true strength. Mika's parents smiled and gently hammered their love hammers next to my parents as they spoke. Their posture and speech were polite and warm. My mother was as enthusiastic as ever and began to tell me stories about my past with pride. Raizuki has been working hard on his own without using our children. He's been through a lot, but he's still been working hard for 10 years. My father nodded, telling him to keep going. He's
clumsy, but he always gets things done.
I smiled wryly, but I was a little happy to hear my parents say that. Mika's parents were also listening to the conversation with smiles on their faces. They were never pushy, but they were gentle and occasionally cracked jokes to lighten the mood. I, who should have been nervous, had also relaxed a little without realizing it. In the meantime, the waiter found the right moment and brought out some tea and sweets. As we took a breather in front of the hot water, Mika's father spoke up. "Well then, we'll leave it here. The rest of you young people should have a nice chat." "That's right. How about we go to the lounge over there and have some delicious tea?" "Yes. Then take your time. Mika-san." The parents suddenly got up from their seats and walked toward the lounge in the back of the store. It was just Mika and me at the table. Silence continued for a moment. As I watched the steam slowly rise from the hot spring in front of me, it felt as if time itself was passing slowly. Then I opened my mouth impatiently. The truth is, I'm currently on home confinement due to some work-related issues. I might even get fired. Huh? Oh, really? Mika's eyes widened in surprise for a moment, but her expression quickly softened and she nodded. She didn't deny or criticize. She just quietly accepted my words with such kindness. To be honest, I don't have the energy to face a woman like this right now, so I reluctantly came here because my parents insisted. I'm sorry. You went to all the trouble of coming. Even if I try to cover it up, it'll be discovered soon anyway. If it's going to be discovered, I might as well be honest from the start. With that in mind, I told her the truth. Then Mika smiled slightly and looked down at the hot spring. I don't have any particular desire to get married at the moment, and my work has just started to settle down, so I'm having fun. But my parents were really worried, and they said it was their duty to act for their daughter's happiness. And when I heard that they had arranged a blind date on the way home from the parents' meeting, I was confused. But I could understand a little bit of how my parents felt, and I couldn't do it forever, so I came anyway. I couldn't help but laugh. I was exactly the same. I was a little relieved that we had something in common. That's why I honestly didn't have any expectations when I came here today. But I'm glad I was able to talk to Raizuki like this. Raizuki nodded with a gentle smile. His gentle smile, like a goddess's, seemed to embrace everything. I suddenly felt the tension in my shoulders relax. I said earlier that I had problems at work, but I think someone at the company set me up. I was set up. Before I knew it, I was telling Mika about what had happened at the company. My sales results weren't bad either. I had even been praised directly by the president. But I think I didn't enjoy it. Actually, I think it was probably the president's son who did it. He's my colleague, but he once left the company and worked somewhere else. It didn't work out in the end, so he came back, but the president's son slept with you, a talented person? Mika nodded slightly, as if she understood. Well, there's no proof that he did it, and it's just my imagination, but there's no point in making a fuss about it now. But what was hard was that no one believed me even though I said I didn't do it. But maybe that's my own fault. Trust is something that is built up over time. Raizuki is an amazing person. Ka, who was listening to the story, smiled with interest, narrowing her eyes. Even though he's hurt himself, he's still calmly thinking about the people around him and trying to accept his own responsibility. There aren't many people who can do that. No, don't say it so coolly. I'm a total loser. The fact that he can be so humble is proof that he's standing on his own 2 feet. I felt a warmth well up in my chest when he heard those words. This person is really watching over me. Even when I was desperately trying to hold on, or when I was struggling and feeling helpless, she rescued me from the bridge of words and gently wrapped me up. Even though we only talked for less than an hour, I felt a sense of security as if we had been friends for many years. Thank you for today. It was easier to talk to you than I thought, and it was fun. Mika smiled a little shyly and lightly nodded her head. Thank you too. To be honest, I was depressed about coming, but I'm glad I got to talk to you. We both smiled a little shyly. It would be nice if we could talk like this again. Yeah, that's right. We shook hands as we saw her off and went to our respective homes. And on the day my house arrest ended, I limped through the front entrance of the company, and all eyes turned to me. Some people whispered openly, while others looked away, indicating indifference. This is what it means to have a clock ticking. The sound of punching the time card echoed loudly in the night. I silently went to my desk and started up my computer. I had a mountain of emails piled up, but I couldn't bring myself to touch them. At that moment, the manager's voice rang out. Come to Sakasatsetsu. Someone from the third-party Kansai committee is here. My heart skipped a beat for a moment, but a feeling closer to resignation than tension took over my heart. When I opened the door to the Oyuki room, 3 men and women in suits were sitting there. They were looking at me quietly with documents in front of them. I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw one of them. It was Mika. Mika calmly gave me a quick pat and looked at me. It was Sake Raizuki, right? I would like to formally report on the investigation report based on this internal report. The man sitting next to Mika began to explain in a calm but polite manner. The circumstances surrounding the sound, the investigation process, the testimony and evidence, and the conclusion, no facts of wrongdoing were confirmed on Sakashida's part. Rather, it was discovered that some people in the car had been systematically making false reports, and I was speechless. Falsification of business regulations, falsification of access history, and reports that falsified the content of interactions with business partners. All of these appear to have been orchestrated by love. And the person thought to be the main suspect in all of this is the president's chief executive, Sakusa Kazuichi. I gasped involuntarily. So that's what it was. This matter will be referred to the board of directors after consultation with the in-car regulations and the legal department. It has also been confirmed that Sakashida-san bears no responsibility whatsoever. When that was concluded, the tension that had been building up in my back instantly melted away. My whole body went limp, and I could barely sit still. After leaving the building, I called out to Mika-san in the corner of the hallway. I never imagined that Mika-san would be a member of the third-party committee. I'm sorry for surprising you. I was really surprised when I saw your name. I never imagined that I would be investigating someone I had just met on an arranged marriage. I was surprised too. I felt saved by Mika-san, who listened to my story on the day of the arranged marriage, but I never imagined that she would help me again here. Thank you so much. Mika-san continued, choosing her words carefully. I don't remember helping her. I just found out the facts. Also, I really sympathize with the way you tried to live your life according to your own beliefs, without being bound by the expectations of your family or those around you, and I couldn't help but feel like you were a stranger, so I lowered my eyes and simply nodded silently. Maybe I could show a little more of my true self to this person. That feeling quietly grew in my heart. After that, we started going out to eat together from time to time. I was encouraged many times by the sight of Mika struggling with her work but still trying to move forward. No matter how hard things were, she never showed weakness. She walked quietly but surely, carrying the truth within her. That sight was dazzling. And then I realized. In front of Mika, I didn't have to act weird. It was okay if I didn't put on airs or look bad. I could just be myself. The time I spent with her taught me how easy and heartwarming that was. One day, as I relaxed and found myself able to laugh naturally, I suddenly realized. I truly loved Mika. A few months later, we told our parents. I was going to marry Mika. The moment I told them that across the table, my parents stopped moving. After a moment of silence, my mother let out a small "oh," and my father stared at me with wide eyes. It was only natural that I would be surprised. My parents had arranged the matchmaking because they wanted us to get married, but to be honest, I must have thought it was just a formality. In fact, I had been reluctant that day, and I had strongly opposed my parents, so I'm sure they never imagined that the encounter would lead to something like this. But my mother immediately smiled. Isn't that great, Raizuki? She said, smiling happily. My father cleared his throat slightly and nodded repeatedly, saying, I see, as he looked back and forth between me and Mika. After a while, he said in a slightly hoarse voice, It
Must have been a good match. I'm so glad. My son has some innocent sides, but please take care of him, Mika.
At those words, Mika bowed modestly and smiled softly. Looking at her profile, I felt a warmth in my chest. This is good. I was finally able to confidently tell my parents in my own words about the path I had chosen. And they accepted me. That fact lightened my heart more than I had thought. And I thought from the bottom of my heart, with this person, I'll be okay. This time, I feel like I can move forward with my head held high in my chest. From now on, Mika and I will live our lives lightly, just as we are, being ourselves. Thank you for watching until the end. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.